Maple Ridge, Kentucky, a town so small you could drive through it in 3 songs on the radio. It was the kind of place where the diner's bell chimed every time someone walked in, and the smell of bacon and biscuits drifted all the way down to the hardware store. And right in the middle of that little town stood Carter's Woodworks, a weathered old shop with creaky floors, sawdust in the air, and a wooden sign that read, "Built with Purpose." The owner, Eli Carter, had lived his entire life in that little town. He was known for his craftsmanship: tables that didn't wobble, chairs that could last generations, and the kind of handmade furniture that carried the warmth of the man who built it. But times had changed. The big box stores in the city sold things cheaper. Orders stopped coming in, and one by one, Eli's bills began to stack higher than the piles of lumber in his shop. At first, he tried to stay busy, fixing, sanding, polishing, but silence has a way of shouting when your heart is heavy. One Friday afternoon, Eli sat at his workbench, staring at a half-built rocking chair he couldn't bring himself to finish. His hands, rough from years of carving, trembled as he whispered, "God, I've done everything I can. What are you trying to tell me?" The wind rustled through the open window, carrying the faint sound of the church bell from down the street. And in that stillness, a verse his late mother used to say came back to him. Faith isn't about understanding every step. It's about trusting the one who leads. He leaned back, tears welling up. "So I'll trust you," he whispered. And that night, unable to sleep, Eli walked into his shop under the glow of the streetlights. The town was quiet. The air smelled of pine and dew. He ran his fingers over the wood, and for reasons he couldn't explain, he picked up a small block and began carving a cross. The next day, he carved another one, then another, each one unique, some smooth, some rough, all made from leftover scraps. On the back of every cross, he burned a single word with his old branding iron, either faith, hope, grace, or believe. He didn't plan to sell them. He just left them around town, on diner tables, near the gas pump, at the post office counter, by the bench where old Mr. Whitman fed the pigeons. No note, no signature, just simple wooden crosses. Well, within a week, people began talking. At the diner, folks whispered, "Did you see one of those crosses?" Miss Whitman said, "I found one by the fountain yesterday. It said peace, and it made me cry." Teenagers started keeping them in their pockets. Families placed them on their mantels. And then one Sunday, Pastor Daniels stopped by the shop. "Eli," he said, stepping through the squeaky door, "are you the one making those crosses?" Eli hesitated. "I just had to do something." The pastor smiled. Then, "Keep doing it. We'd like you to build a big one for the youth center we're opening next month." Eli's heart caught in his throat. "Me?" "Yes, you," the pastor said. "You've reminded this town what faith looks like when it's lived, not just spoken. And that night, Eli got to work. The smell of sawdust filled the air again. The hammer struck steady, like a heartbeat. And when he was done, a 7-foot cross stood in the middle of his workshop. Rough, beautiful, sacred. As he stepped back, the moonlight fell across the wood and Eli whispered, "Peace doesn't mean the storm stopped. It means my heart did." He closed his eyes and smiled through tears because he finally understood. God hadn't forgotten him. He'd just been rebuilding him. And a year later, Carter's Woodworks was alive again, not just with business, but with purpose. Orders came in from towns all across the country, not for fancy tables or chairs, but for crosses. Big ones, small ones, family sets, memorials. Eli never got rich from them, but that was never the point. The true reward was seeing how God used his simple gift to bring light back into people's lives. And if you visit Maple Ridge today, you'll see that same old sign on Maple Street, built with purpose. But below it, Eli has added a new one, a hand-carved sign in oak. Grace transforms everything. And if you step inside, you'll still see him there, humming an old hymn, sanding a piece of wood with peace in his eyes. A man who learned that sometimes God breaks something in your life, not to destroy it, but to rebuild it stronger than before. Because the cross was never a rescue plan. It was the plan all along. Truth. God bless you, my friends.